This tutorial demonstrates how you can use shared interviews to send an online intake form directly to your client by email. Intake forms are specially designed to gather information from your client that is then available for you to use in the document drafting process. Think of the online intake as a much more efficient replacement for an intake process, where you give your client a paper form to fill out, and then you retype the information your client gave you as a part of your document drafting process. An Oklahoma Forms online intake is a much better experience for both you and your client. To set up an online intake, you first locate an intake form enabled with the Shared Interview feature by locating a form in the Forms menu with the special Shared Interview icon next to it. The Shared Interview icon looks like an arrow. Forms with Shared Interview functionality are usually located in the Practice Tools subcategory of a practice area's forms. For example, here, I am locating the Probate Intake form with Shared Interview functionality in the Probate Practice area under the subcategory labeled Practice Tools. Once you click on a form with Shared Interview functionality, you will see the Answer Sets page as usual, but now with a button labeled Share Interview. Drop down the Share Interview menu to reveal three options. The first of these three options is to share the interview with a new answer set, which will be the most common choice. Selecting to share the interview with a new answer set will load the intake interview for your client with all of the interview fields blank. The other two options will allow you to share an interview with your client with an existing answer set, or a copy of an existing answer set loaded into the interview. These two options will make sense if you want to send an interview to your client with some of the interview fields already completed. If you choose to share the interview with an existing answer set or a copy of an existing answer set, arrows will appear along with the usual action buttons next to each answer set. Just click on the action button arrow next to the answer set that you want to load into the shared interview for your client. Now it is time to configure the shared interview invitation to send to your client. First, enter your client's information in the Recipient Information section of this screen. You can also add a message here that will be included in the email to your client. Then, your information goes in the Sender Information section. Whatever name you put here will be included in the email that your client receives, alerting them that you've sent them a request to complete an online intake form. Next, provide the name for the answer set that will be created when your client completes the shared interview. Finally, in the Secure Link section, you can set a date for the shared interview link to expire. Once the expiration date is reached, your client or prospective client will no longer have access to the shared interview. The last field on this screen is the Redirect URL field. Put the website address in this field that you want your client or prospective client to be redirected to once they submit the online intake. For example, your law firm's website. Please note that you must enter the address in the exact format shown, beginning with HTTP. After clicking on the Submit button, you will be taken to the Shared Interviews admin page. You will also receive a BCC of the email notification sent to the client. The BCC is sent to whatever email address you entered in the Sender Information field on the previous screen. All of the shared interviews that you have created will be listed here on the Shared Interviews admin page, along with information about each shared interview. Let me point out a few features on the Shared Interviews admin page. First, you will see that each shared interview has an associated status. A status of active means that the interview link is active and the client has not yet completed and submitted the interview. A status of submitted means that the interview has been completed by the client. When a shared interview status shows submitted, this means that the associated answer set is in your list of answer sets and ready for your use in the drafting process. You will receive an email notifying you when a client submits a completed shared interview. Each shared interview also has an associated 6-digit PIN. This PIN is used to access the shared interview and is sent to your client along with the shared interview link. Next, each shared interview has 4 associated action buttons. Moving from left to right, the first action button, which looks like a single sheet of paper, will load the shared interview. This action button is useful if you want to inspect your client's progress on a shared interview. And once a shared interview has been completed by your client, you can assemble and download the completed intake form by loading the shared interview and advancing to the end of the interview. Note that your client will not have the ability to assemble and download the intake form from their version of the shared interview. The second action button, which looks like a chain link, allows you to copy the shared interview link previously sent to your client in the event you need to send it to them again. Just be sure to also provide the associated PIN number, as the client will need the link and the PIN to access the shared interview. Next, the third action button, which looks like a refresh or reload icon, will allow you to reactivate an expired shared interview link. Finally, the fourth and last action button that looks like a trash can will, not surprisingly, delete the shared interview link. You can access the shared interview's admin page anytime from the Answer Sets item in the top nav menu. Expand the Answer Sets menu and select Shared Interviews. Congratulations! You've reached the end of this tutorial on using shared interviews to send intake forms to clients or prospective clients. Now, you should try it out by sending yourself an invitation to a shared interview so that you can see what the experience is like from the client's perspective. When a client completes a shared interview, the answer set created with the information provided by the client will appear in your list of answer sets. So, for example, the answer set created from a probate intake form interviewed completed by your client can be loaded right into a probate petition form interview for your drafting needs. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful and that you are now better prepared to use Oklahoma forms to draft better documents faster.